Welcome, weary traveller. Welcome to a quiet harbour, a place of rest far from the noise and hurry of your day. Come, leave the bright screens and the endless lists behind you now. Let the concerns of the waking world drift away like forgotten dreams on the morning breeze. There is nothing for you to do here, nothing to... All that is asked of you is to breathe. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel your shoulders begin to drop. We are leaving the shores of the present and setting sail on the deep, quiet waters of the past. Our destination is a single moment, a pocket of perfect stillness waiting for you. The great sails, which have carried you across an ocean, hang limp and silent from the towering masts, like heavy velvet curtains in a sleeping cathedral. The sea itself is a vast, polished mirror of black obsidian, so placid that it holds a perfect, unbroken reflection of every star in the sky. Your ship. The air is warm, thick with the humidity of the tropics, and it carries the scent of distant, unseen islands, a faint, sweet perfume of night, blooming flowers and damp earth. But here, in your sanctuary, the great captain's cabin at the stern of the ship, you have just come inside, closing the heavy wooden door behind you, its iron latch clicking into place with a sound of deep, satisfying finality. The sound seals you away from the world, enclosing you in your own private kingdom of quiet and solitude. You stand for a moment in the near, total darkness, allowing your eyes to adjust. The only light comes from the large, ornate stern windows, which are not filled with moonlight, but with the soft silver glow of 1 billion stars. The starlight is just enough to trace the outlines of the room, the hulking shape of your bunk, the sturdy legs of a sea chest, and the vast flat expanse of the chart table that dominates the center of the cabin. As you stand there, you become aware of the ship's voice. It is not a sound of distress, but a sound of deep, contented rest. With no wind to push against its hull, the galleon rocks on the gentle, almost imperceptible swell of the deep sea. The movement is impossibly slow, a long, lazy cradle from side to side, that you can feel more in the pit of your stomach than with your eyes. And with each slow, rhythmic sway, the ancient timbers of the ship's massive frame speak to one another. It is a deep, resonant, and drawn. This sound, this deep and steady wooden sigh, is the heartbeat of your vessel, and it is the most reassuring sound in the world. It speaks of strength, of resilience, of a structure so solid and vast that it can hold you safely in its belly, rocked gently in the endless arms of the sea. The air in the cabin is a complex and wonderful perfume, a history of your voyages told through scent. There is the dominant fragrance of aged oak, the very bones of the ship, a smell that is dry and dusty and rich, like the inside of a wine barrel that has been empty for a century. Woven through it is the sharp medicinal tang of tar, used to seal the hull and rigging, a scent that speaks of safety and protection from the immense power of the ocean. And beneath it all, there is a softer, earthier note, the faint, sweet smell of the dried hay and wool that stuff your mattress, a humble but comforting promise of eventual rest. These scents mingle together, creating an atmosphere of profound and timeless security. Your bare feet feel the gentle texture of the wooden floorboards, worn smooth by years of pacing. The slow tilt of the deck is a familiar, comforting presence, a constant reminder that you are held by the water. You move now, your steps sure and practiced in the gloom, towards the great chart table. Your hands find its edge, the wood cool and solid beneath your palms. On its surface, you feel the familiar shapes of your work, the rolled parchment of a new chart, the heavy block of the logbook, and the cool metallic forms of your navigational instruments. It is time for some light, not a harsh, revealing light, but a small, warm, personal light. Your hand finds the storm lantern, its brass frame and glass housing cool to the touch. You lift its glass shield with a soft metallic click, and from your pocket you retrieve a small piece of flint and steel. You hold them over the lantern's wick. A sharp strike, a second, and then a tiny bright spark leaps into existence. It catches the oil-soaked wick, and for a brief moment a small blue flame sputters and dances. Then it catches hold, growing into a steady golden tongue of light. You lower the glass casing back into place, and the flame stabilizes, enclosed and safe. The light does not flood the cabin. It pushes the darkness back, but it does not banish it. It creates a perfect circle of warm honey, colored light on the surface of the table, illuminating the work before you. The rest of the cabin remains in soft, gentle shadow, the corners deep and mysterious, the ceiling lost in darkness. Your world has shrunk to this intimate circle of light, this small island of purpose in the vast, quiet night. The flame inside the lantern sways in perfect, hypnotic synchrony with the slow rock of the ship, causing the shadows on the walls to lengthen and retreat like slow, silent dancers. You pull a heavy, high-backed wooden chair closer to the table, its legs scraping softly against the floorboards. You sink into it with a weary sigh, the wood creaking in response. Before you lies the chart. You use two small, heavy lead weights, shaped like miniature anchors, to hold down the curling corners of the thick parchment. The paper is rough to the touch, its surface uneven, filled with the texture of its own making. It is a map of these unfamiliar islands, a tapestry of coastlines, shoals, and soundings rendered in fine black ink. The lines are a work of art, a careful and patient attempt to bring order to a wild and unknown world. You reach for your tools. First, the ruler. The metal makes a soft, dull, feathered fey as it settles onto the parchment. Next, you pick up the dividers. They are made of polished brass, now warm and glowing in the lantern light. They are heavier than they look, perfectly balanced, with two sharp steel points that meet with satisfying precision. You hold them like a surgeon holds a scalpel. You open the two arms, placing one steel point on the small, inked, that marks your ship's current location, becalmed in the open sea. Then, you extend the other arm, stretching it across the paper sea towards your intended destination for the morrow, a sheltered cove on an island marked only as Isla de las Palmas. It is a sound of pure focus, a microscopic event in the immense silence of the night. You press down just enough to leave the faintest impression, a tiny dent in the paper's surface. Then, keeping one point fixed, you pivot the other, walking the dividers across the chart, measuring the distance league by league. Each time a point comes down, it makes that same quiet, satisfying sound. Fey tick, tick, tick is the sound of progress, of a journey being planned, of a future being written. The metal legs of the dividers make a faint, dry, scraping sound as you adjust them, a whisper of brass against your fingers. You pause, your calculations made. The distance is clear. Now for the heading. You consult the compass rose, drawn in the corner of the chart, its ornate lines pointing to the magnetic north. You align your iron ruler, creating a straight line from your position to your destination, and you study the angle. A simple course, a straight path, provided the wind returns with the dawn. You reach for the ship's logbook. It is a massive, leather, bound tome, its cover scarred and stained by salt spray and spilled ink. The leather is soft and supple under your fingers. You open it, and the thick, heavy pages rustle with a dry, whispering sound, like autumn leaves skittering across a stone courtyard. The sound is deeply soothing, a paper lullaby. The pages are filled with your own handwriting, a dense script of black ink detailing winds, weather, sightings, and the daily life of the ship. The smell of old paper and dry ink rises from the book, a scent of memory and recorded time. You draw it out, the black liquid clinging to the nib. You carefully record tonight's position, the lack of wind, the placid state of the sea. Your quill scratches softly across the page, another layer in the symphony of quiet sounds. Face scratch, scratch, rustle, creak. Asterisk, the words flow onto the paper, anchoring this moment, this profound stillness. In the official history of your voyage, having your work is done. Instead, you lean back in your chair, letting your hands rest on the table, your fingers gently touching the cool brass of the dividers. The circle of lantern light is warm on your face and hands. Your eyelids feel heavy, weighted, and you let them fall halfway closed. Your focus shifts from the chart on the table to the sounds and sensations of the cabin. The great, slow groan of the ship's timbers continues its endless rhythm, creeeeak. Asterisk, a long, low sigh that seems to travel the entire length of the hull, followed by a deep, resonant silence. And then again, groan. Asterisk, as the ship sways back the other way. It is a sound you have come to love. It is the breathing of your great wooden beast, and it is lulling you, slowly, gently, into a state of profound calm. Your own breathing has slowed to match it, a deep, easy rhythm in your chest, through your half-closed eyes. The flame in the lantern becomes a soft, blurry globe of gold. It dances in perfect time with the ship's sway, its light painting flowing, liquid patterns on the dark, polished wood of the walls. The brass of the dividers glows with a soft, inner fire. The shadows in the corners of the room seem to deepen, becoming soft pools of velvet darkness, inviting and safe. You listen more deeply. Past the creaking of the ship, you can hear the faint, almost silent hiss of the lantern's flame consuming its oil. There is no wind whistling in the rigging, no slap of waves against the hull. There is only the deep, profound silence of the open ocean on a breathless night, a silence so complete it feels like a physical presence, a soft, heavy blanket wrapping your ship. Your thoughts, which were so focused on charts and calculations just moments ago, begin to soften and drift. They lose their sharp edges, becoming as fluid and gentle as the swaying shadows on the wall. The plan for tomorrow is made, secure in the logbook. It no longer requires your attention. The past, with its long weeks at sea, feels distant and dreamlike. All that exists is this present moment. You feel the gentle, insistent rocking of the ship in your bones. It is the most primal and comforting of motions, the rocking of a cradle back and forth, side to side. Your head feels heavy on your neck, and you allow it to lean back against the tall carved wood of the chair. Your arms are heavy on the table, your legs are heavy on the floor. You are sinking slowly and pleasantly into a state of deep, unshakable rest. You turn your head, a slow and lazy motion, to look out the great stern windows. The view is mesmerizing. The glass is made of many small leaded panes, and each one frames a different patch of the night sky. The sea is so perfectly still that the division between water and air has vanished. Your ship is floating in a sphere of stars. The Milky Way is a glittering, shimmering ribbon that stretches from the top of the window down to the bottom, a celestial river flowing through both the heavens and the deep. You can see no horizon, no line separating what is real from what is reflection. It feels as if at any moment your great galleon might simply lift off from the water and sail silently through the cosmos, a ghost ship, navigating by constellations above and below. The only thing that breaks the perfect symmetry is the ship's own weight. It is not a churning whitewater wake, but a gentle, silent disturbance. As the stern sways, it trails two faint shimmering lines of phosphorescence in the dark water, tiny sea creatures glowing in response to the ship's movement. The lines are like silver, gilt ribbons unfurling on black silk, and they fade back into darkness almost as soon as they appear, leaving the perfect mirror of the sea undisturbed. Watching this slow, silent display of light, your mind grows even. The last vestiges of coherent thought dissolve, leaving only sensation. The warmth of the lantern, the deep wooden sigh of the ship, the endless, gentle rocking, the hypnotic dance of starlight on the water. There is no past. There is no future. There is only this eternal, peaceful now. Your eyelids drift fully closed. In the darkness behind your eyes, you can still feel the slow, steady rhythm of the ship, a rhythm that has become your own. The creaking of the timbers is no longer a sound from outside, but a vibration deep within your own chest, a lullaby sung by the heart of the ship itself. The distance between you and the ship, between the ship and the sea, between the sea and the stars, you are floating in a warm, dark, and utterly safe space, held securely by the ancient wood of the galleon and the gentle arms of the sea. There is nothing left to do but let go, to drift on this current of quiet, to sink into the deep, dreamless sleep that awaits you. The course is set. The ship is let the slow, rhythmic creaking be the last sound you hear as you drift away. Let the gentle rocking carry you into the deepest, most restorative slumber. The endless ocean of time has carried you back to a moment of profound and perfect peace. You are here. You are the captain of this great Spanish galleon, a floating fortress of timber and tar, now resting as if in a deep and dreamless slumber. And you are in your sanctuary, the Grand Captain's cabin, nestled high in the stern castle. Here, in this womb of carved and polished wood, the world outside simply ceases to be. There is only the gentle, rhythmic reality of your ship, your haven. A deep and comforting scent fills the air, a rich and complex perfume of time itself. The smell of decades of aged oak, its grains saturated with the memory of distant forests. The sharp, clean scent of tar, baked by 100 tropical suns, a scent that speaks of safety and a well-sealed hull. And beneath it all, the dry, sweet, earthy fragrance of the hay, stuffed mattresses in the sleeping bunk, a soft and rustic smell that promises rest. The ship is not truly still, and with each slow rise and fall, the ancient timbers of the hull speak to one another. It is not a sound of distress, but a conversation of old friends, a deep, resonant, and impossibly long creak, a low, vibrating groan that seems to travel right through the soles of your feet and up into your chest. Fega, ara, asterisk, followed by a sighing, woody friction as the massive planks settle again. Fish, hoo, asterisk. It is the sound of a sleeping giant, its vast wooden ribs expanding and contracting. This sound, this deep and steady rhythm, is the heartbeat of your world tonight. It is a sound of immense strength, of profound security. It assures you that all is well, that you are held safely in the belly of this great. Your own breathing has already begun to slow, finding its own harmony with this deep, gentle pulse of wood and water. Your shoulders, which may have carried the weight of the day, begin to soften, to release, to drop, letting go of everything. But this present, peaceful moment, You are standing before the great chart table, a vast expanse of dark, heavy wood that dominates the center of the cabin. It is a surface worn smooth by years of voyages, its edges softened by the leaning arms of captains before you. The air is warm and heavy, thick with humidity, and your shirt feels soft against your skin. For a time, you simply stand in the velvet darkness, allowing your eyes to adjust, feeling the slow, cradling rock of the ship. But the night is long, and a quiet, methodical task awaits. A gentle ritual to... You reach for the storm lantern that rests on the corner of the table. It is a heavy object, made of brass and thick glass, its weight familiar and reassuring in your hand. You feel the cool, smooth metal under your fingertips. Your movements are slow, unhurried. There is no one to rush you, nothing to disturb you. You lift the glass housing, the brass hinge making a tiny, satisfying fey-click fee as it opens. The smell of whale oil and old wick, faint and slightly sweet, rises to meet you. A shower of tiny, bright orange sparks leaps into the darkness, a fleeting constellation that dies in an instant. 1, 2. And on the third strike, a single, determined spark lands on the blackened edge of the cloth. You gently lower the glowing cloth to the tip of the lantern's wick. For a moment, nothing happens. And then, you blow upon it a soft, steady breath, and the red ember on the char cloth brightens, and with a soft, magical fee-hump-fey, the wick catches. A tiny dancing flame is born. At first, it is small and blue at its base, sputtering uncertainly, but as it draws the oil up from the reservoir, it grows taller, steadier, transforming from blue to a rich, warm, and confident yellow. The light blossoms softly, pushing the deep shadows back into the corners of the cabin, revealing the warm, reddish tones of the carved wooden walls, the deep grain of the oak beams overhead, the glint of brass on the sextant hanging by the wall. You carefully lower the glass housing back into place, securing it with a soft thud-fey. Thou, protected from any phantom draught, settles into a steady, hypnotic dance. The light it casts is not harsh or bright, but a soft, liquid gold, an amber glow that pools on the surface of the chart table and paints your hands in hues of honey and fire. This warm, living light makes the cabin feel even more like a sanctuary, a cocoon of warmth floating on the cool, dark sea. The gentle hiss of the burning wick is a soft, constant companion to the deep groan of the ship's timbers, another layer in the deep and soothing symphony of the night. Your attention now turns to the chart itself. It is rolled and resting in a long leather tube. You pull the wooden stopper from the end. The chart is heavy, its edges worn and soft from countless times being rolled and unrolled. It smells of old paper, of salt, of distance. You lay it on the table, and with the heels of your hands you slowly, carefully unroll it. The parchment crackles and whispers as it flattens, a dry, rustling sound like autumn leaves. It does not lie perfectly flat at first. Its ends curl up, remembering their long confinement in the tube. You take 4 small weights of polished lead from a drawer in the table, heavy, smooth, and cool to the touch, and you place one on each corner of the map. The parchment settles with a final soft sigh, lying open under the golden lantern light. Before you is a masterpiece of cartography, a work of art and science. It is not a printed, perfect map, but a hand-drawn creation on rough, durable sheepskin. The coastlines are drawn in thick, black ink, the names of capes and bays written in an elegant, looping script. The sea itself is a pale, creamy expanse, decorated with drawings of sea serpents and blowing cherubs in the far, unexplored corners. But your focus is on the familiar shipping lanes, the dotted lines that mark the safe passages between islands. The ink is faded in places, smudged by the damp sea air and the fingers of navigators past. You run your hand over the surface, feeling the slightly raised lines of ink, the rough, organic texture of the parchment itself. It feels ancient, alive with the knowledge and experience it holds. It is a testament to survival, to journeys completed, a promise of safe passage for the journey to come. Your task tonight is simple. It is a quiet, meditative ritual, a way of imposing a gentle order on the vast, unpredictable ocean. It is a tool of precision and certainty. You take the dividers, a compass for measuring distance. Its 2 points are sharpened to fine, delicate needles. You hold it up to the lantern light, and the polished metal catches the flame, throwing a warm, bright glint across the cabin walls. These are not just tools. They are extensions of your will, instruments of calm and control. It is a massive volume, bound in thick, dark leather, its cover stamped with the royal crest of Spain. You lift the heavy cover, and the book opens with a deep, muffled fate-hump fey and the scent of old paper and iron gall ink. The pages are thick, creamy, and filled with the tight, disciplined script of your daily entries. Wind direction, speed, notable sightings, the morale of the crew. You turn the pages slowly. You are looking for your last recorded position, a small, neat cross marked on the chart just yesterday. Now the work begins. But it is a work that feels more like meditation. You place one edge of the heavy wooden ruler against the last known position on the chart. You align it with the faint pencil line you drew yesterday, indicating your intended course. Then you pick up the brass dividers. You pinch the top, and the 2 legs swing open. You adjust them carefully, measuring the distance from your last position to the next small island on your route, a place called Tortuga. You place one needle, fine point on the small cross that marks your ship, the parchment dimpling slightly under the pressure. You swing the other arm of the dividers and place its point on the tiny ink circle that represents the island. A perfect arc of distance, captured in the span of your tool. Then step. Each time the metal point touches the paper, it makes a tiny, almost inaudible fatic, a sound as delicate as a pin dropping on velvet. Fatic, tick, asterisk, a tiny rhythmic counterpoint to the deep groan of the ship. The world has shrunk to this pool of golden light on the table, to the feel of cool brass and rough parchment, to the soft sounds of your own careful movements. The complex worries of command, of supplies, of weather, of the crew, all of it fades away. You are tracing a path for the future, a line of intention across the blankness of the sea, and in this act of gentle planning, you find a deep and profound calm. The ship continues its slow, ponderous rock, a constant, gentle motion that cradles you as you work. The lantern flame flickers, its light dancing over the intricate lines of the map, making the sea monsters seem to writhe, and the cherubs seem to puff their cheeks. The air is warm and still. Your breathing is slow and even. The long, low creak of the hull timbers continues its ancient song, a lullaby for a giant. Fe ga arash. Sh. Hoo hoo hoo. Asterisk. It is the sound of absolute safety. It is the sound of home, and as you work, your mind grows quieter and quieter, soothed by the rhythm of the task, by the gentle rocking of the sea, by the deep, resonant voice of your ship. Every muscle in your body is loose and heavy. Every thought is slow and peaceful. As you drift in your wooden haven, a tiny island of warmth and light in the vast, silent darkness of the Caribbean night. After a time, your calculations are complete. A new, faint pencil line extends from your last position, a confident path towards the dawn. You have done your work. The brass dividers lie open, spanning the distance of a day's journey. The heavy ruler sits alongside the new course line. You lean back in your heavy, carved wooden chair, the wood creaking softly under your weight, joining its voice to the chorus of the ship. Your hands come to rest in your lap, your fingers loose, your palms open and relaxed. You are no longer acting, but simply being. Your focus shifts from the details of the chart to the vast, soothing emptiness of the moment, the time when the world slows almost to a stop, and the senses open to the quietest, most subtle details of the space around you. Your work is done. Your mind is clear. And now you can simply listen. You close your eyes, just for a moment, and the sounds of the cabin become a universe. There is the deep bass rumble from the keel. Far below you, a vibration you feel more in your bones than in your ears. There is a higher pitched, more drawn out cry from the main mast as it strains against its rigging. And there is the intimate, close-by creak of the cabin walls themselves, the sound of the ornate carvings and joints shifting by a hair's breadth. It is not a single sound, but a complex, ever-shifting symphony of wood. And you realize, as you listen, that it is not random. It has a rhythm, the fall, a long descending sigh of settling timbers, a slow breath in on the lift, a pause, and a long, slow breath out on the fall. In and out. The ship is breathing, and you are breathing with it. You look at the lantern flame. You watch the way the golden spear of fire sways in perfect time with the ship's motion, a tiny silent pendulum. As the ship lifts, the flame leans slightly to one side. As it falls, it leans back to the other. It is a perfect silent indicator of the sea's gentle pulse. The light it casts upon the ceiling is a soft, trembling web of gold. The shadows it throws from the chair, the table, the sextant on the wall are not sharp and static, but soft-edged and alive. They stretch and shrink, they deepen and fade, they sway back and forth in a slow, hypnotic waltz. Watching them, your mind empties of all thought. There is only the light, the shadow, and the slow, silent dance. It is a gentle, comforting heat, like the last rays of a setting sun. It soothes your skin, and the warmth seems to sink deeper, loosening the tiny muscles around your eyes, relaxing your jaw. You can feel a deep heaviness spreading through your limbs. Your arms resting in your lap. Your legs feel heavy and warm. It is a comfortable weight, the feeling of your body letting go completely, trusting the solid chair beneath you, trusting the strong ship around you. You have no desire to move, to be here, in this warm, dim light, rocked by this ancient rhythm, is all you need. The air in the cabin is thick and soft, a heavy blanket of warm, humid air that smells of oak and salt and old paper. You take a slow, deep breath, and you can taste the history of this room. You can smell the faint, lingering scent of beeswax used to polish the wood, a sweet, honeyed note beneath the sharper tang of tar. You can smell the dry, almost dusty fragrance of the parchment mat, an intellectual scent that speaks of knowledge and quiet contemplation, and beneath it all, the vast, clean, briny smell of the ocean itself, filtering in through some unseen crack, a constant reminder of the immense, peaceful wilderness that surrounds your tiny island of safety. These smells are the smells of security, of a world in its right and proper order. Through the ornate, leaded glass of the stern windows behind you, you can see the sky. It is a perfect, cloudless black, a velvet curtain pricked with the cold, distant fire of a million stars. The surface of the sea is a flawless mirror, and so the galleon seems to be floating not on water, but in a sphere of infinite, silent space, suspended in the very heart of the cosmos. There is no up, no down. There is only the gentle, endless rocking, as if you are being cradled in the palm of the universe itself. Your eyelids grow heavier and heavier still, the golden light of the lantern becoming a soft, blurry glow behind your lashes. The deep, slow creak of the ship is no longer a sound you hear, but a vibration you feel, a deep, resonant hum that seems to emanate from the very center of your being. It is the sound of deep sleep, calling to you, and now even the thought of the ship begins to dissolve. The cabin walls fade into soft, warm shadows. The golden light of the lantern softens, pulling back, shrinking to a single warm point of glowing amber in the center of your vision, a distant, friendly star in your own inner darkness. The complex symphony of the creaking timbers simplifies, merging into one single, continuous, deep, resonant hum, a vibration that fills everything, a sound that is both inside you and all around you, blurring the lines between yourself and the great sleeping ship. Your breath is so slow now, so deep, a gentle tide rising and falling in perfect time with the vast, slow swell of the ocean that holds you. The feeling is no longer of being on a ship, but simply of floating, of being held, of drifting in a warm, dark, and endless sea of perfect peace. There are no more thoughts, only the feeling of this gentle motion, this deep hum, this profound and effortless letting go. Every part of you is heavy. There is nothing to do now, nothing at all. A long, resonant groan rises from the very keel of the galleon, a sound not of strain, but of immense weight settling into a comfortable rest, a sound that travels up through the decks, through the soles of your feet, and into your bones. It is the sound of a living, breathing creature of wood and iron, a gentle giant sighing in its sleep upon a boundless bed of black water. This deep wooden breath is answered by the softest whisper of a swell against the hull, a gentle lapping, a liquid caress that is more felt than heard. Your cabin, a sanctuary of carved oak and warm golden light, rocks with an almost imperceptible slowness, a cradle motion that has been with you for months, a rhythm that now feels more natural than stillness itself. The air is thick and comforting, a complex perfume of old, seasoned wood, the faint, reassuring sharpness of Stockholm tar, the dry, sweet scent of the straw, stuffed mattress in the corner, and the almost imperceptible metallic tang of the sea itself, carried not on a breeze, but simply existing as part of this isolated world you command. Your attention is drawn back to the vast, sprawling expanse of the chart upon your table. The parchment is heavy, its surface a landscape of its own, with a texture like fine, dry earth under your fingertips. Its edges curl slightly, testament to 100 nights of being unrolled and 100 mornings of being rolled back up. The lantern light, a single unwavering flame captured behind thick, clean glass, pools upon the map, turning the vellum a warm shade of honey and deepening the shadows in its subtle creases. The ink of the coastlines, drawn by a master cartographer's hand in Seville, is a deep, rich brown, while the delicate, spidery web of rum lines crisscrosses the open ocean in faded red and black. In the vast, unexplored corners of the chart, the artist has allowed his imagination to wander, and there you see fantastical sea serpents, not as monsters, but as elegant, sleeping beasts, their coils wrapped peacefully around islands that do not exist. Their presence on the map, a kind of gentle, whimsical warning that the world is still full of dreams and mystery. They are not creatures of terror, but sleeping guardians of the unknown, and their placid forms only add to the deep sense of peace that fills this space. It is made of solid brass, and it feels wonderfully, reassuringly heavy in your hand. The metal is cool to the touch at first, but it quickly absorbs the warmth of your skin. Its two arms are joined at the top by a strong, finely wrought hinge decorated with a small stylized sun. You work the hinge gently with your thumb and forefinger, and it moves with a smooth, satisfying resistance, making the faintest oiled whisper of a sound, a tiny mechanical sigh. You spread the two sharp steel points, their tips honed to a perfect needle, like fineness, and you pause for a moment, simply admiring the craftsmanship, the way the lantern light catches the polished curves of the brass, making it glow like a sliver of captured sunlight in the darkness of your cabin. This tool is an extension of your mind, a bridge between the known and the unknown, between where you are and where you are going. With a slow, deliberate movement, you press the 2 points of the divider onto the chart. One point rests on the tiny inked cross that marks your last known position, a point of certainty in a sea of possibility. The steel tip makes a barely audible pricking sound as it pierces the very top layer of the parchment, a tiny, crisp puncture that anchors your reality to the map. The second point you extend forward, stretching across the blank, cream-colored expanse that represents the open sea. You have set the divider to represent a distance of 10 leagues, a good day's sail with a favorable wind. Your arm is steady, your focus absolute, yet your mind is calm, untroubled. The world outside this cabin, the worries of the crown, the value of the cargo in the hold, the long leagues that still separate you from the shores of Spain, all of it dissolves. Now begins the slow, rhythmic dance of measurement. You pivot the divider on its forward point, a graceful, silent arc through the air, and then you bring the rear point down to the parchment once more. Fapric fey another 10 leagues measured. The sound is so small, so precise, a tiny, sharp punctuation in the deep, resonant silence of the night. It is a sound of progress, of purpose. You lift and pivot again, walking the divider across the paper sea, your hand moving in a steady, hypnotic rhythm. Fey prick, fey 10 more leagues, in and out, as another 10 leagues are crossed. The journey unfolds beneath your hand, not in a rush of wind and spray, but in a quiet, methodical succession of tiny, measured steps. The muscles in your shoulders begin to release their tension. Your neck softens, and you feel yourself sinking more deeply into your heavy, carved wooden chair. Supported by its solid, unyielding strength, you continue this slow, patient walk across the ocean of paper, league by league, the rhythmic feet prick, asterisk of the divider becoming a kind of mantra, a sound that grounds you completely in this moment. You are not thinking of the destination anymore, only of the journey of your hand across the chart. The brass of the divider is now warm, holding the steady heat of your palm. You trace a potential course, a gentle curve toward the rising sun, a path that will keep you in the favorable currents. As you move the divider, your fingers brush against the surface of the map, and you can feel the slightly raised lines of ink, the subtle geography of the coastlines, the smooth, untouched emptiness of the deep ocean. The silence of the night is so profound that these tiny, tactile sensations become amplified, filling your awareness. The world has shrunk to the size of this table, to the pool of golden light, to the feel of parchment and the cool weight of brass. The deep, groaning sigh of the ship's timbers is the only other presence here, a constant, soothing companion, the slow, steady heartbeat of your floating kingdom. After measuring a distance of some 120 leagues, a hopeful estimate for the next several days, you pause. It is not a flimsy strip of wood, but a heavy bar of dark, polished ironwood, edged with a thin strip of brass for precision. It feels cool and solid, its weight substantial in your hands. You lift it, and the air it displaces stirs the flame in the lantern for a moment, causing the shadows in the cabin to stretch and dance, to leap up the walls and across the ceiling beams, before settling back into their gentle swaying rhythm. You lay the ruler down on the chart, and it lands not with a clatter, but with a deep, muffled, satisfying fey-thud-fey. The sound speaks of weight, of permanence, of certainty. Its straight, true edge aligns with the 2 points you have marked with your divider, your present position and your intended position. It forms a perfect, unwavering line, a path of intention drawn across the uncertainty of the sea. You run your finger along. It is worn smooth from years of use, from drawing countless lines on countless charts, guiding this ship and others across the Atlantic. It holds the memory of other voyages, other quiet nights of calculation just like this one. You pick up a small, sharpened piece of charcoal from a wooden tray on your desk. Its tip is a soft, powdery grey. With the utmost care, you draw a faint ghost of a line along the ruler's edge. You apply almost no pressure, letting the charcoal's own weight do the work. The sound is a soft, dry fish-fee, a whisper of graphite on parchment, a sound like dry leaves skittering across a stone courtyard. The line is barely visible, a suggestion rather than a command, a path that you offer to the winds and the currents, knowing that they will have the final say. When you are done, you lift the ruler, and the line remains, a pale grey thread stretching across the heart of the ocean, a fragile but hopeful link between today and tomorrow. The soft, dusty sound of the charcoal seems to linger in the air, another layer in the deep quiet of the night. Your work with you do not roll it up. You leave it open on the table, a landscape of possibility sleeping under the watchful eye of the lantern. You take the brass divider, fold its arms together, the hinge giving its soft oiled sigh, and you place it in its designated groove within a long wooden box. It settles into the velvet lining with a faint, soundless pressure. You take the piece of charcoal and place it back in its tray. Then you lift the heavy ruler, its weight a familiar comfort, and slide it into a long leather sleeve, the wood sliding against the soft, worn leather with a gentle friction, a soft face-huff-face sound that is warm and organic. Each action is unhurried, performed with a mindful grace. There is no need to rush. The night is long and deep, and time itself seems to have slowed to match the rhythm of the sea. Now, you turn your attention to the ship's log. It rests at the corner of the great table, a massive volume bound in dark, oiled leather, stained with salt and time. The cover is thick and unadorned, save for the royal crest of Spain embossed in the centre. It is a book of immense weight, both physical and historical. It slides across the smooth surface of the wooden table with a low, deep, satisfying fee-swoosh-fee, a sound of pure, heavy friction. You open the cover, and the thick leather creaks like the door of an ancient church. The first page is thick, almost like card, and the pages that follow are made of heavy, cream-coloured rag paper, their edges slightly yellowed with age. You begin to turn the pages, not to scrutinise or to check for errors, but simply for the tactile and auditory pleasure of the act itself. You lift the corner of a page, and it feels substantial, soft, and slightly fibrous under your fingertips. As you turn it, the page makes a slow, soft, rustling sound, a faith-whoosh-fey of paper moving through the still air. It is a gentle, calming sound, the voice of the ship's memory. You turn another page. The entries are written in a variety of hands, in inks that have faded from black to shades of sepia and brown. You are not reading the words for their meaning. You are simply observing the flow of the script, the elegant loops of one captain's cursive, the sharp, angular letters of another, You see entries from weeks ago, months ago, recording days of fair wind, of calm seas, of dolphins playing in the bow wave. The logbook is a repository of peace, a testament to the countless quiet moments that make up a long voyage. Fush. Asterisk. Another memory settles into the past. Your eyelids feel heavier now. The inkwell is a simple heavy block of glass, wide at the base, so it will not tip over with the rolling of the ship. It is filled with a dark, viscous fluid, an iron gall ink that smells faintly of rust and wine. The quill is from a goose, its feather long and white, its tip expertly cut. You dip the tip of the quill into the ink, and it makes a soft fake-link fey as it touches the glass, and then a quiet, liquid sound as it drinks up the dark ink. You lift it, and a single perfect drop hangs from the nib for a moment, before you touch it to the edge of the inkwell to blot it. All these tiny sounds, the clink of glass, the whisper of the quill, the rustle of the page, are like jewels set against the deep velvet silence of the night. You steady your hand. The nib of the quill scratches softly against the thick, fibrous paper. It is a beautiful sound, a crisp, personal, and intimate scratching that is the sound of a thought being made permanent. You write the date, the time, the ship's position as best as you can guess it, and then the entry for the night. You do not write of anxieties or of the long journey ahead. You write only noche de calma absoluta. Asterisk, you begin. Then you translate the thought into the official language of the log. A night of absolute calm. No wind. The sea is a mirror of black glass. The scratching of the nib is the only sound you are making, the only sound that matters. Face scratch, scratch, scratch. Asterisk. A soft, dry, rhythmic whisper. It is the sound of order, of control, of peace recorded and made real. Your breathing is now as slow and deep as the groan of the ship's timbers, a rhythm of absolute rest. When you are finished, you do not immediately close the book. You hold the quill above the page, watching the ink dry, watching it change from a wet, glistening black to a flat, matte charcoal. You blow on it gently, your breath a warm, soft puff of air that makes the lantern flame dip and sway for a second. The scent of the drying ink, sharp and metallic, rises to meet you. Finally, you place the quill back in its holder and put the stopper back in the inkwell with a soft, fate hump fey. You gaze at the fresh entry, your words now a part of the ship's long history, a record of this one perfect silent night. The air, displaced by the cover, is like a soft exhalation. You push the great book back to its corner of the table, its deep sliding sound a final sonorous note in the symphony of the quiet cabin. You lean back fully in your chair, and the old wood groans in harmony with the hull, a deep, comfortable sound of acceptance. Your hands, which have been so busy, now rest heavy and warm in your lap. You can feel the blood pulsing gently in your fingertips. Your arms feel weighted. Your shoulders have dropped, and a wave of deep, pleasant weariness washes over you. Your gaze becomes unfocused, drifting around the cabin, no longer seeing objects to be used, but simply shapes and shadows. You watch the light from the lantern play across the intricate carvings on the wall panels, the light catching the belly of a carved cherub here, the leaf of a wooden grapevine there. The shadows thrown by the furniture are long and soft, and they sway in unison, a slow, silent dance that is endlessly soothing to watch. They stretch and contract with the barely perceptible roll of the galleon, moving like the slow, deep breaths of the night itself. You look toward the stern windows, the 4 large panes of leaded glass that are your eyes onto the world. You cannot see the sea, only a perfect, impenetrable blackness. But you can see the reflection of your cabin in the glass. It is a ghostly, transparent version of your world. You see the reflection of the lantern, a single bright star of gold. You see the faint, shimmering outline of your own form, a shadow seated in a shadow chair. The reflection is dim, distorted by the imperfections in the old glass, and it gives the scene a dreamlike quality. It is as if you are looking at a memory of this moment. Even as you are living it, the gentle rocking of the ship causes the reflection to ripple and sway, and the golden point of the lantern's light drifts back and forth, like a pendulum marking the slow, steady passage of a peaceful eternity. Your eyelids are so heavy now, so very heavy, like the leather cover of the logbook, and it feels so good to let them close, to let the warm, golden light of the cabin dissolve into a soft, comfortable darkness behind them. The long, deep groan of the ship's timbers continues its ancient lullaby, and the gentle, endless rocking of the sea prepares to carry you into a deep and dreamless sleep. Your work for the day is done. The last of the calculations are complete. The final course correction, noted with a fine graphite point upon the vellum. You set aside the heavy iron ruler, its straight, uncompromising edge, a small bastion of certainty in this vast, liquid world. The sound it makes as it settles upon the thick oak of the chart table is a low, muffled thud, a sound of finality, a sound of rest. The ruler's coldness seeps for a moment into the wood, a fleeting transfer of energy before it too succumbs to the ambient, gentle warmth of your cabin. Your hand comes to rest palm. It feels solid, ancient, and deeply reassuring. The pressure on your spine releases, and you feel the weight of your own body settle, a gentle surrender to gravity and to the deep, slow rhythm of the sea. Your shoulders, which had been tensed ever so slightly over the charts, now drop, loosening. A slow, deep breath fills your lungs, unbidden, and as you exhale, it carries with it the last vestiges of the day's responsibilities, the last echoes of command and calculation. The air you release mingles with the thick, complex atmosphere of the cabin, a rich and layered perfume of existence. It is the scent of old, well-oiled wood, the deep and resinous heart of the oak that forms your floating fortress. It is the sharp, medicinal tang of Stockholm tar, a scent that has soaked into the very soul of the vessel, a promise of watertight integrity, of safety. And woven through it all is the dry, sweet, and dusty fragrance of the hay, stuffed mattresses and cushions, a rustic and earthy aroma that speaks of simple comfort, of sleep, of dreams. The map, with its intricate coastlines and fearsome sea monsters drawn in the margins, seems to lose its urgency, its purpose as a tool fading away, leaving behind only the beauty of its form. The lamplight, a soft and living amber, pools upon its surface, turning the rough parchment into a landscape of miniature hills and valleys. The ink of the coast of Hispaniola seems to soften, the sharp black lines bleeding ever so slightly into the creamy texture of the page. The red rum lines, once so stark and clear, now glow with the warmth of drying blood, ancient pathways that seem to pulse with a faint and sleepy life of their own. The chart is no longer a guide for tomorrow. It has become a painting, an artifact, a silent storyteller in the quiet of the night. The only true movement in the room is the slow, hypnotic dance of the shadows, cast by the single, steady flame of the storm lantern. The lantern itself is a marvel of brass and thick glass, its polished surfaces capturing the light and throwing it back in distorted, elongated reflections. You can see your own face mirrored there, a darkened, simplified version of yourself, your features smoothed over by the curve of the glass. The flame within is perfectly still, a teardrop of pure, unwavering gold, protected from a wind that does not exist. The shadow of the lantern's handle elongates, stretching up the wooden wall like a grasping finger, before slowly, gently retracting. The shadow of a stack of books on the shelf deepens, then softens, the darkness seeming to inhale and exhale in time with the ship's groan. Your eyelids feel this rhythm, growing heavier with each slow sway, each gentle dip and rise of your floating kingdom. And you listen, you allow your hearing to expand, to move beyond the confines of the cabin, and embrace the full symphony of the becalmed ship. The dominant sound, the one that is both sound and feeling, is the deep, resonant groan of the hull. It is not a single sound, but a complex. There is the low, bass rumble that seems to vibrate up through the floor, through the soles of your boots, and into the very marrow of your bones. It is the sound of immense timbers, the great ribs of the ship, shifting against each other by a hair's breadth, compressed by the unimaginable weight of the water outside. It is the sound of a leviathan turning in its sleep. Layered over this is a higher, more plaintive cry, a long drawn-out sigh that comes from the mast step far below, as the colossal single trees that are the masts strain and relax within their sockets. And then there are the smaller, more intimate sounds, the gentle, intermittent fay of a cooling timber. Somewhere in the ceiling, the soft, leathery face-squeak fake from the straps that hold a sea chest to the wall. The almost inaudible silken hiss of the lantern's wick as it drinks the oil. Each sound is a note in a composition of absolute peace, a testament to the ship's solid, living presence around you. It is the sound of home. There are no stars, no moon, only a void so complete it feels like a solid substance. The ship is not sailing upon the water. It is suspended within this immense silent blackness. The glass of the windows is cool and smooth, and occasionally a single tiny bead of condensation might form, catching the lamplight like a solitary misplaced jewel. The world outside has... There are no other ships, no distant shores, no storms on the horizon. There is only this room. You are the sole occupant of a silent universe, held in perfect, motionless equilibrium. The feeling is not one of loneliness, but of profound solitude, a perfect, uninterrupted seclusion that allows every muscle in your body to unclench, every thought in your mind to slow, to soften. Your breathing has found the rhythm of the ship. Each long, slow inhalation matches the gentle rise of the deck, and each complete, unhurried exhalation accompanies its descent, in and out, a slow, steady pulse that connects you to the vast, sleeping organism that cradles you. You can feel the heavy wool of your breeches against your legs, the soft linen of your shirt against your skin. The air itself feels heavy, thick with moisture, and the scent of the sea, a warm, damp blanket that envelopes you completely. You are cocooned, protected, utterly and completely safe. Your mind, which was so recently occupied with numbers and lines, with leagues and headings, is now wonderfully, beautifully empty. It has become a still, dark pool, mirroring the quiet sea outside. Thoughts may arise, but they are like slow, lazy fish swimming in the depths, appearing for a moment before vanishing back into the tranquil darkness, leaving no ripple, no trace of their passing. You close your eyes, not with intention, but because they have grown too heavy to keep open. The velvet curtains of your eyelids descend, and the soft amber light of the cabin is replaced by a gentle, soothing darkness. Instead, your other senses awaken, becoming even more acute. You can feel, with an almost impossible precision, the exact texture of the carved lion's head on the arm of your chair, its wooden mane worn smooth by the touch of your hand over countless nights, just like this one. You can trace the grain of the oak with your mind's eye, following the dark ancient lines that tell the story of a tree that grew for 100 years in a forgotten Spanish forest, long before it was felled to become a part of your life. The scent of beeswax, used to polish the wood, rises to meet you, a sweet honeyed note that cuts through the heavier scents of tar and salt. It is the smell of care, of preservation, of a quiet and orderly life lived amidst the chaos of the ocean. The deep, groaning breath of the ship continues, a constant, reassuring presence. It is the only anchor in a world that has become unbound from time. The question is meaningless, an irrelevant artifact of a world of clocks and suns that no longer applies to this floating sanctuary. Here, in the heart of the ship on a windless sea, time is not a line, but a circle. It is the endless, gentle repetition of the swell, the eternal, rhythmic sigh of the timbers. Each groan is the same as the last, and the same as the next. And in this perfect repetition, there is a profound and deep-seated peace. It is the rhythm of eternity, and it is rocking you, gently, slowly, into a state of deep and dreamless slumber. The wood is cool against your skin, a pleasant and grounding sensation. You are no longer the captain. You are no longer the navigator. You are simply a body at rest, held in the safest place you have ever known. The complex machine of your waking mind has finally, mercifully, powered down. The gears of thought have ceased to turn. The fires of anxiety have been banked, leaving only warm, glowing embers of content. All that remains is the simple, profound fact of your own existence, breathing in and breathing out, in perfect harmony with the great wooden beast that carries you across the dark, glassy water. The sounds of the cabin begin to merge and soften. The individual notes of the ship's groan, the creak, the hiss, the tick, all blend together into a single, continuous hum. It fills your ears, your head, your entire being, crowding out any lingering thoughts, any echoes of the day. It is the ultimate white noise, a sonic blanket that swaddles you in its comforting vibrations. You feel yourself drifting. Not on the you are floating in a warm, dark, and peaceful space, untethered, unbound, and completely at ease. The gentle rocking motion is no longer a physical sensation. It is the very rhythm of your own deep, slow heartbeat, a pulse that has become one with the ocean, with the ship, with the night. You are sinking now, not into the sea, but into the deep, soft mattress of sleep. The last anchor to the waking world is the deep, rhythmic breathing of the galleon, that long, low, creaking groan that has been the soundtrack to your life. It is the sound of a giant sleeping peacefully in its bed, and you are a tiny, precious thing held safely in the palm of its hand. It is a sound that has followed you through calm and through storm. But tonight it is a lullaby, a promise that all is well, that you are protected, that you can let go. And so you do. You let go of the day. The groan of the timbers is the last thing you hear, a final, comforting whisper from the heart of your wooden world, a sound that will carry you through the long, peaceful night, until a wind that is not yet born comes to stir the black mirror of the sea, and carry you onward toward a new and distant dawn. For now, this endless, gentle rocking on and on, into the boundless night. Come away now. Leave the noise and the hurry of your world behind. Let the sharp edges of the day soften and dissolve, like salt in the warm sea. There is a place of profound quiet, waiting for you. Let your thoughts of tomorrow drift away, and let the worries of yesterday fade into a distant memory, for they have no place here. Here, It is a night of impossible stillness, a night without wind, where the water has become a perfect mirror for the star. You are the captain of a great Spanish galleon, a towering castle of wood and sail, and your ship rests motionless upon this black mirror, suspended between the cosmos above and the abyss below. The sails are furled, hanging in heavy, silent columns from the yards, their work done for the day, their power held in reserve. There is no snap of canvas, no hum of wind through the rigging. There is only a profound and patient quiet, a silence so deep it feels like a physical presence, a soft, heavy blanket enveloping the entire world. You are in your cabin, the great cabin at the stern of the ship, a private world of wood and shadow. This is your refuge, your fortress of solitude in the middle of the vast, empty ocean. The air itself is thick with the history of the vessel, a complex and comforting perfume woven from decades of voyages. You can smell the deep, resinous heart of old oak, the timber that forms the very bones of this magnificent beast. It is a scent of strength and endurance, of forests long since felled and shaped by patient hands. Woven through it is the sharp, medicinal tang of tar, used to seal the planks and protect them from the relentless sea, a smell of safety and preservation. And beneath it all, a dry, sweet scent of straw from the mattress on your bunk, a rustic and earthy note that speaks of simple comfort and deep, honest rest. Though there is no wind to push her, she is still alive, breathing with the slow, patient pulse of the ocean, an almost imperceptible swell, a long, deep wave born of a storm, 1,000 miles away, lifts the galleon with an impossibly gentle motion. The ship rises slowly, so slowly, hanging for a moment at the crest of this invisible hill of water, and then, just as slowly, it descends into the trough. With each of these majestic, slumbering movements, the ancient timbers of the hull speak to one another. It is not a creak of distress, but a language of immense weight and settled peace. A long, low, resonant groan echoes through the cabin, a deep, vibrating fey, like the slow, rhythmic breathing of a sleeping giant. This sound is the ship's lullaby, a constant, reassuring reminder of the massive, sturdy vessel that holds you safe in its heart. It is a sound that has rocked generations of captains to sleep, a sound that speaks of a strength far greater than your own, a strength you can surrender to completely. Your shoulders begin to drop, your muscles begin to unclench, as you give yourself over to this slow, ancient rhythm, this gentle rocking, this deep, wooden breath. The cabin is dark, a space of soft, deep shadows. The only light comes from the stern gallery, where a series of leaded glass windows look out onto the infinite blackness of the sea and sky. The faint, cold light of the distant stars filters through the thick, diamond-paned glass, but it is not enough to read by. It is a light for dreaming, not for working. But you have one last task to complete before you can surrender to. It is a massive piece of furniture, its surface scarred with the marks of countless previous voyages, a silent testament to journeys taken and destinations reached. Your hands know its surface by heart, the smooth, worn patches and the rougher grain of the dark wood. You lift it, feeling its comforting weight in your hands. The brass is cool to the touch. With a familiar click, you open the small glass door. The air inside smells of whale oil and old wick. You take a small pair of shears and carefully trim the blackened end of the wick, the tiny pieces falling away with a soft, dusty sound. From a small leather pouch, you take a piece of flint and steel. You hold them over the newly trimmed wick and strike them together. A single sharp fey-click echoes for a moment in the quiet cabin, followed by a shower of brilliant orange sparks. Zone spark catches, A tiny, nascent flame appears, a small blue bead at the base of the wick, sputtering and struggling for a moment before it grows, blossoming into a steady, golden tongue of light. You close the glass door, and the flame stabilizes, protected from any phantom draft. A warm, amber glow now fills the cabin, pushing back the deep shadows, transforming the space into a cozy golden cave. The light glides over the carved wooden walls, catching the details of mermaids and sea serpents that writhe in the dark oak panels. It warms the rich colours of the heavy tapestry that hangs on the bulkhead, its woven threads depicting a triumphant naval battle, now softened and made peaceful by the gentle flickering light. The air grows warmer, and the scent of the burning oil adds another layer to the cabin's complex perfume, a smell of purpose and gentle industry. You place the lantern on the corner of the table, and its light falls across a vast rolled sheet of parchment. You carefully unroll it, your fingers moving with practiced ease. The heavy parchment crackles and whispers as it flattens onto the table, its edges curling slightly, as if trying to remember their rolled shape. This is your chart of the Caribbean, a beautiful and intricate work of art and science. The coastlines are drawn with elegant, confident strokes of black ink. The names of islands, Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, are written in a beautiful, flowing script. The sea itself is crisscrossed with a web of fine lines, rum lines that radiate from compass roses. Their intricate patterns, a guide through this vast wilderness of water. The parchment itself is thick and rough, with a texture like fine leather, and it smells of animal hide and old, dry ink. Your tools are laid out beside the chart, objects of heavy, reassuring substance. You pick up the parallel ruler, two thick bars of dark wood joined by swiveling brass arms. It feels solid and dependable in your hands. You align one edge with the last known position of your ship. Then, holding one bar firm, you slide the other across the chart, walking it across the sea of paper until it intersects with your intended destination. A small, sheltered cove on an island, still 2 days' sail away. The sound of the wood sliding against the parchment is a soft, dry fey shush, a sound of gentle, deliberate progress. Next, you reach for your dividers. They are made of heavy, polished brass, cool and smooth against your skin. The two arms are joined by a beautiful articulated hinge that moves with a silent, fluid precision. You open the dividers, placing one sharp steel point on the scale of leagues at the bottom of the chart. You adjust the arms carefully, the metal making a faint, high-pitched scraping sound as you fine. Then you lift the dividers, then the fangs. Each time a point touches the parchment, it makes a tiny, satisfying phatic, a small pinprick of sound in the great quiet of the night. Phatic, tick, tick, asterisk. You walk the distance, counting the days. One day, the journey unfolds before you in a series of small, measured steps. A vast and uncertain future made manageable and clear on this small, illuminated rectangle of paper. The process is a meditation, a slow, rhythmic ritual that calms the mind and brings a sense of control over the vast, unknowable ocean. Your breathing slows. Your focus narrows to this simple, repetitive task. The world outside this circle of golden light ceases to exist. There is only the map, the light, and the slow, steady progress of your hands. It is a massive book, bound in thick, dark leather, worn smooth and shiny at the corners from years of handling. Two heavy brass clasps hold it shut. You lift one, and then the other, the metal making a dull, heavy fey-lunk fey as it comes undone. You open the cover, and the scent of old paper and iron-gall ink rises to meet you. A smell of recorded time, of days and nights and winds and tides, all captured in script. The pages are thick and creamy, made of rag paper that has a soft fibrous texture. You turn the pages slowly, each one making a soft substantial fey whoosh fey. As it turns, a sound much deeper and heavier than that of modern paper. The corners are soft and slightly frayed. Your finger traces the last entry, written in your own hand. The ink is a deep, rusty black. You read the familiar words, noting the date. No wind since midday, sea like polished obsidian, all hands at rest. You dip a quill into a small pot of ink. The scratch of the nib as you write is a delicate, personal sound. You record the ship's stillness, the calm that has descended upon the sea. You note your planned course for the morrow, should the wind return. There is no anxiety in the words, only patience. The act of writing, of making a mark on this page, is a final act of order, a final closing of the day's business. When you are done, you close the great book, the heavy cover falling shut, with a soft final fey-hump fey. You fasten the brass clasps, their clicks sealing the day away, consigning it to history. Asterisk done. Now, there is nothing left to do. You push the chair back from the table, the wooden legs scraping softly on the wooden floor. You lean back, and the high, carved back of the chair supports your head and neck. You let out a long, slow breath, a sigh that seems to have been held in all day. The tension flows out of your shoulders, down your arms, and away. Your hands, which have been so busy, now rest limp in your lap. It moves away from the small, bright circle of the chart table and expands to fill the entire cabin. The ship rises on the swell, and your own body feels weightless for a long, luxurious moment. You feel your own chest rise with it, taking in a deep, slow breath. And as the ship sinks slowly, endlessly, into the trough, you exhale just as slowly, your body feeling heavy and deeply, deeply relaxed. You are in perfect synchrony with the ocean. Your breath matched, and the sound of the ship's timbers is no longer in the background. The long, low groan fills your ears, but it is not just a sound. It is a vibration. It travels up from the floor, through the legs of your chair, and into your very bones. Geru ua a an asterisk. It is the sound of 1,000 massive pieces of wood, all locked together, bearing an immense load, settling into a state of perfect equilibrium. You close your eyes, and the sound becomes even more vivid, more present. They feel as though they are made of lead, and it is the most wonderful feeling in the world to simply let them close, to shut out the light and the world. Behind your closed eyes, you can still see the gentle flickering glow of the lantern, a soft, warm orange pulse against the darkness. The light breathes in time with the ship, flaring slightly as the galleon sways one way, dimming as it sways the other. It is a steady, gentle heartbeat of light in the center of your quiet, dark world. The smells of the cabin seem to grow richer. The ancient oak, the protective tar, the sweet, dry straw, they are the scents of your floating home, a perfume of absolute peace. You are utterly alone, miles from any shore, and yet you have never felt safer. This cabin is a womb of wood and darkness, floating in a silent sea, under a silent sky. The world of men, of ports and cities, of worries and demands. Here, time itself has slowed down. The minutes stretch into long, languid pools of quiet. There is no past, no future. There is only this one, perfect, suspended moment of stillness. The sharp lines of your calculations on the chart blur and fade in your mind's eye. The words in the logbook lose their meaning, becoming mere shapes, mere memories of a day that is already gone. Your mind is letting go, unclenching its grasp on thought and purpose, allowing itself to simply be, to float, to drift. You are sinking, not into the sea, but into the deep, soft cushions of exhaustion and peace. You are sinking into your chair, into the ship, into the very heart of the night. The slow groan of the timbers continues its endless song, Fega aha, and the gentle rhythmic sway of the ship becomes the gentle rocking of a cradle, a motion designed for one purpose only, to lull you into a deep and dreamless slumber. Rise and fall. Breathe in and breathe out. The distinction between the ship's movement and your own breath begins to blur until they are one and the same. You are the ship, and the ship is you, breathing together in the vast, silent darkness. You are drifting now, on an endless, peaceful sea of quiet. The cabin around you feels less like a room and more like a thought, a warm and pleasant memory. The gentle lantern light is just a warm glow at the edge of your awareness. The deep, resonant groan of the wood is the last sound in the universe, a sound that is pulling you down, 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 into the wonderful, welcoming depths of sleep. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to do, nothing to be. There is only this feeling of being held, of being safe, of being rocked gently in the arms of the great, dark ocean. Let go of the last thread of wakefulness. Let it drift away. It is time to rest. Deeply, peacefully, surrender to the quiet and the dark, and let the great ship carry you into your dreams. Sleep welcome. Let the sounds of your world begin to fade, the sharp edges of the present moment softening and blurring, replaced by a deep and welcoming quiet. Take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, feel a wave of calm wash over you, from the crown of your head down to the very tips of your toes. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel the muscles in your jaw unclench. Feel the weight of your body tonight. We journey back through the centuries, carried on the soft currents of time, until we find ourselves in a place of profound stillness and quiet solitude. Our destination is the year 1580. The location, the air around you is warm and heavy, with the scent of salt and tropical night. Above, a canopy of stars is scattered across the black velvet sky, their light so clear and sharp in the absence of a moon that they seem close enough to touch. Below, the sea is a perfect unbroken mirror of liquid darkness, so impossibly calm that the stars are reflected in its surface without a single ripple. It is as if your vessel is not floating upon water, but suspended in the endless void of space, caught between two identical skies. You are aboard a great Spanish galleon, a colossal creature of wood and sail, now silenced by the windless night. Her mighty sails are furled and tied, her cannons are quiet, and her crew is lost to the world in slumber. The entire ship seems to be holding its breath, a mountain of timber resting on a pane of black glass. The only movement is a slow, almost imperceptible rise and fall, a gentle swell so long and drawn, out that it feels less like motion and more like the deep, steady breathing of the ocean itself. You are the captain, and this is your sanctuary. You stand for a moment at the Sterncastle railing, looking out over the silent expanse, before stepping back from the immensity of the night and turning towards the heavy, carved wooden door of your cabin. Your hand rests on the cool, intricate iron of the handle, and with a soft click of the latch and a low groan of the hinges, you pull the door open and step inside. The world outside vanishes. Here in your private domain, the air is thick with a complex and comforting perfume. It is the scent of the ship's very soul, the deep, resinous aroma of aged oak from the hull and the walls, a scent that has soaked into the very fabric of the room over countless voyages. Mingled with this is the sharp, medicinal smell of tar, used to seal the timbers and keep the sea at bay, a constant reminder of the vessel's strength and integrity. And beneath it all, a faint, dry, almost sweet scent of the straw that fills the sleeping mattress in the corner, a rustic and grounding fragrance. You close the heavy door behind you, and the sound it makes is a deep and satisfying fee-hump-fee, followed by the solid fee-clunk-fee of the iron bolt as you slide it into place. The sound seals you in, cocooning you in this floating haven of wood and warmth, separating you completely from the vast dark world outside. For a moment, you stand in the near, total darkness, allowing your eyes to adjust, allowing the profound quiet of the cabin to settle around you like a heavy woolen blanket. The only sound is the voice of the ship itself. It is a slow, rhythmic, impossibly deep groaning sound, a long, drawn-out creeeeak, fee as the immense timbers of the hull flex and shift against one another with the gentle rolling motion of the sea. It is the sound of a sleeping giant, its massive ribs expanding and contracting with each slow oceanic breath. The sound vibrates not just in your ears, but through the thick planks of the floor, up through the soles of your feet, and into your very bones. A constant, lulling reminder that you are held safely within this ancient, living structure. It is a vast slab of polished oak, its surface scarred and stained by years of navigation, a testament to 1,000 nights just like this one. You run your hand over its smooth, cool surface, your fingers tracing the faint lines and indentations left by countless instruments and charts. Upon the table rests a storm lantern, a sturdy creation of brass and thick glass. Your hands move with the slow, unthinking certainty of long practice. You lift the glass housing, the metal cool against your fingertips. You take out a small tinderbox, and with a flick of your thumb, the flint strikes the steel. A tiny shower of orange sparks blossoms in the darkness, and one catches on the charred end of the wick. A small, hesitant flame appears, wavering for a moment before it strengthens, growing into a steady, golden teardrop of light. The smell of burning oil and hot wax, clean and sharp, joins the other scents in the room. You carefully lower the glass back into place, and the flame is now protected, secure. The light pushes back the shadows, but it does not banish them. It fills the center of the cabin with a warm amber glow, while the corners remain draped in soft, deep darkness. The light catches on the rich, dark wood of the paneled walls, making the carved floral motifs and sea creatures seem to stir in the flickering illumination. It glints off the brass sextant hanging on the wall, the curved spines of the leather, bound books on the shelf, and the polished globes of the inkwells set into the table. The cabin is transformed from a dark void into a warm, enclosed, and deeply personal space, a womb of wood and light floating in the heart of the night. IT does not lie flat immediately, its edges curling up slightly, remembering the shape of being rolled for so long. You place a heavy, lead-weighted paperweight on each corner, the soft feds echoing gently in the quiet room. This is your chart of the Antilles. It is not a printed, perfect thing. It is a work of art and labour, drawn by hand on rough, fibrous sheepskin. The coastlines are rendered in thick, dark ink, the names of islands and shoals written in an elegant, flowing script. In the vast, unexplored areas of the ocean, the cartographer has drawn mythical sea serpents and blowing cherubs. Filling the unknown with fantasy, your fingers gently trace the coast of Hispaniola, feeling the slightly raised texture of the dried ink on the coarse surface of the parchment. The chart smells faintly of ink, of animal skin, and of the sea salt that has permeated it over time. It is not a light, flimsy thing, but a heavy bar of solid metal, perhaps iron or bronze, 1.5 feet long. You pick it up, and its weight is substantial and reassuring in your hand. You lay it across the chart, connecting your last known position with the distant port of Cartagena. It lands on the parchment, not with a clatter, but with a low, muffled fate-hump fey, the sound of heavy metal meeting soft, thick material. It holds its place with its own authority, a line of cold, hard certainty across the hand. Drawn map next. You reach for the dividers. They are made of polished brass, gleaming warmly in the lantern light. The two arms are joined by a beautifully crafted hinge, stiff enough to hold its position perfectly. You pick them up, and they feel balanced and precise in your grasp. The 2 points are needle sharp. You open the arms, setting them to the scale at the bottom of the chart. You plant one point of the dividers into the parchment. A small, satisfying fey prick. Fey as the needle finds purchase in the thick fibers. Then you pivot the other arm, and its point makes a soft, dry face-scratch fey as it swings across the surface to mark a new position. Prick. Scratch. Each small sound is crisp and clear, a tiny intimate counterpoint to the deep, resonant groan of the ship's timbers. You do this for some time, your focus entirely on the task at hand. The world shrinks to this pool of golden light, to the feel of the cool brass in your hand, to the texture of the parchment, to the soft face scratch. Scratch, scratch fey of the dividers. The wind will not return until it is ready, and until then there is only this moment, this peaceful, suspended time. Having measured the distance and the primary heading, you set the dividers down. They make a soft metallic fey-link fey as they rest against the heavy ruler. Now, you need your logbook. It sits at the edge of the desk, a thick, heavy volume bound in dark, scuffed leather. You pull it towards you, and it slides across the oak with a low, whispering hiss. The cover is cool and smooth beneath your palm. You lift the heavy front board, and the pages within rustle with a sound like dry leaves, a soft, papery fey-shush fey that speaks of age and importance. The pages are thick and creamy, filled with your own handwriting, a dense script of black ink detailing winds, currents, sightings, and daily events. The smell of old paper and dried iron. You turn a few pages, the heavy paper making a soft, satisfying friction as the sheets separate. Fey shush, shush, asterisk. You find a fresh, empty page. You dip your quill into one of the inkwells, and for a moment you simply hold it there, the black ink coating the nib, a single perfect drop clinging to the very tip, glistening like a black pearl in the lantern light. You make your notations for the day, the date, the becalming, the position you have just calculated, the course you intend to steer when the wind returns. The pen scratches quietly across the page, another layer in the room's gentle symphony. The sound is personal, a whisper of your own thoughts being made tangible. When you are finished, you do not close the book immediately. You simply lean back in your heavy wooden chair, which lets out a sympathetic creak of its own, echoing the larger groan of the ship. Your work is done. You are simply observing the space, feeling the moment. Your eyelids feel heavy, weighted down by the tranquility of the night. Your breathing slows even further, deepening, finding a new, slower rhythm. A long, slow inhale, and the hull emits its deep, resonant groan. Creeeeak, a long, slow exhale, and the sound fades back into a profound, vibrating silence. You are breathing with the ship. You are breathing with the sea. It is a physical sensation, a vibration that you feel in your chest, in the floorboards beneath you, a constant, soothing presence that rocks you gently, endlessly. The lantern flame, once a tool for your work, is now simply a point of soft light to watch. It flickers and dances in the still air, a tiny, silent ballet of gold and orange. As it wavers, the shadows it casts on the far walls of the cabin stretch and shrink, sway and retreat. The shadow of the inkwell becomes a long, dark tower. The shadow of your own hand on the armrest becomes a strange, elongated shape, moving with the rhythm of your breath. Watching the shadows dance is like watching a silent story unfold, a dream playing out on the dark wooden canvas of your cabin. You notice the tiny, insignificant details you were too busy to see before. In the beam of light from the lantern, you can see a slow, swirling galaxy of dust motes, tiny golden specks, turning and drifting in the air. You watch them rise and fall, carried by the warmth from the flame, a miniature, silent universe contained within your room. The smells of the cabin seem to deepen, to become richer and more complex. Now that you are still, you can separate them. The warm, waxy smell of the burning lantern oil. They are the smells of safety, of strength, of your floating home. You breathe them in, and they fill you with a sense of deep and abiding peace. A feeling of profound weight settles over your body, a comfortable, pleasant heaviness that sinks you deeper into your chair. The tension you did not even know you were holding in your neck and shoulders begins to melt away, as if dissolving into the warm, still air. Your legs feel heavy. It is the sound of immense pressure, of water against wood, held in a perfect, powerful balance. It is the sound of time itself, slow and patient. The sharp lines of the desk, the books, the instruments, they all blur slightly, their reality less important than the feeling they evoke, the feeling of being completely and utterly alone, and yet perfectly at peace. You are floating in a warm, dark space, held and rocked by a rhythm as old as the tides. The low, creaking groan of the galleon is no longer a sound from outside, but a vibration from within, the slow beat of a sleeping, and the gentle rise and fall of the ship is the rise and fall of your own chest, breathing in the scented darkness, breathing out all that remains of the waking world. The golden light of the lantern seems to be receding, growing smaller and softer, as if you are drifting away from it, down a long, dark, quiet river. Its warm glow becomes a distant, friendly star in the soft darkness of your mind. The detailed map on the table dissolves into a simple feeling of direction, of a journey already undertaken, of a destination that will be met in its own good time. There is nothing left to do now, nothing left to think, nothing left to plan. There is only the stillness, only the warmth. Only you are drifting now on a sea far deeper and calmer than the Caribbean, a sea of quiet, peaceful slumber. Let the last vestiges of awareness fade. Let them dissolve into the deep, dark water. Sleep.